Mhm.
It's hot. And he's coming on a podcast, a pretty awesome podcast, and you should see. It's hot. And he's joining up with Carla for the Game Changers podcast. It's a thing. Woo! It's Carla. She runs a damn good podcast. She always has the best guests, like the one this week. I said, it's that he's a fish man. He's the king of charity in the fantasy industry. The Game Changers podcast. We call it. It's Scott. It's Scott. It's the Game Changers podcast. And Louis hot. It's the Game Changers podcast with Carla and Scott. It's the Game Changers podcast. That's all. Whoop, the show.
I just want to say thank you so much for Ronnie Evans for doing this for us tonight. Our good guy AI who's on the show. I can't, like, he's always so talented. He's always like putting himself out there, saying hello for us right now, which is really awesome. Thank you so much, Ronnie. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So welcome to episode 69 of the Game Changers. I'm Carla, your host for this episode featuring Scott Fish. His extensive expertise will provide invaluable insights into our discussions, where we will explore thought provoking topics to ensure a one of a kind experience for our audience. A special thank you for the TSA team for their support in creating this platform for meaningful conversation with community leaders and innovators. Join me as I delve into the stories and insight of my guests, particularly in the realm of fantasy football. The Game Changers fosters a unique community, and I'm so honored to share this journey with all of you tonight. Who is Scott Fish and who doesn't know Scott Fish? Scott Fish, fantasy football innovator and philanthropist. Scott Fish is a renowned figure in the fantasy football community, known for his innovative contributions and leadership. He is the architect of the developmental dynasty league format known as Devi and the founder of the prestigious Scottish Bowl, earning him widespread respect and admiration among fantasy football enthusiasts globally. Scott's journey in fantasy football began in 1992 with the formation of a dynasty league, which later evolved into a keeper league that still thrives today. He transitioned into content creation in 2005, and by 2007, he launched FF Oasis, a website that became a go-to resource for developmental and individual defensive player IDP content. Scott is credited with pioneering the Devi dynasty format in 1990s and was the first to produce written, podcast, and multimedia content on the subject. His influential work has profoundly shaped the fantasy football landscape, establishing him as one of the most respected commissioners in the field. Currently, Scott operates Safe Leagues, a commissioner service focused on providing exceptional league management. He also hosts the podcast and newsletter Commission Impossible, which addresses various commissioners with related topics. Furthermore, He is a prominent voice on Fantasy Football Weekly, the longest running fantasy football show, which airs on iHeartRadio and is now entering its 31st year. Scott's long term goal is to inspire every fantasy league and donate one entry fee to charity. His passion for charitable work and community building is evident in his numerous initiatives and projects aimed at giving back. Some notable awards and recognition: the Matthew Berry Game Changer
Just
Award.
keeps going. There's so much stuff.
Yeah. Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association Humanitarian of the Year, January 2020, the Athletics Person of the Year, 2018, and the latest Fantasy Sport Business of the Year in 2024, honored by the FSGA. Scott, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
I am good. I'm good. All of that stuff just makes me feel old now. Makes me feel like I've been around a very, very, very long time in this industry.
No, you're such a celebrity. You give so much from your heart to everyone, and like I said before we came live on the show, I couldn't wait to like sit and talk to you tonight. So welcome, and I'm really honored to have you again on our show, The Game Changers.
Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful. It does feel like it's been a couple of years. It's been a couple of years since I've been on. I'm glad to come on early in the year here before we get really busy with SFB 15 stuff coming up. It should be a really good year for SFB this year. It's gonna be fun.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see you in Boston and at the Expo as well. So I don't know which comes first. I think Boston comes first. So I can't wait to see you this year again, hopefully in Boston.
Yeah,
and then the Expo.
I'm not even sure which ones I'm going to go to yet this year for sure, but I'll definitely be at the Expo. I'll see you at the Expo, but we'll
Definitely.
see which live events I go to. I weirdly planned a family trip right in the middle of SFB season where I'm going to be gone for a week in Scotland. So I'm going to have to try to figure that out. Luckily, I have a very, very good team around me that'll be able to keep things afloat and handle everything. So
I agree. Family comes first, definitely. I agree with that. So let's go a little bit about, let's talk a little bit about the Scott Fish Bowl. Can you share the story behind the Scott Fish Bowl and how it has evolved over the years?
Yeah, it's evolved a ton. It started as this little 96 team, which was huge at the time, this 96 team tournament for our readers and listeners at FF Oasis. And the following year, it actually didn't do well the first year. And the following year, it was only 60 teams. And then took a year off. The year my wife was pregnant with our first child. And but I always believed I had something there. I always believed that could be something. And so went back hard at it and just asked every analyst I know, pushed people to try to join and play. And the first few years, like we were scratching and clawing to get to make sure it was full. But then, it started to steamroll. This person played, so they're like, this other person will play, and just they see each other playing, and more people want to play. And by year 6, we started getting, the NFL Network guys and Matthew Berry type guys and actors and stuff, and they started jumping in around year 6. And right around that time is when I had my heart attack, and everything, the focus around it really changed for, positive charity work and stuff. And it just made it easier for people to get behind it and join it. And really everything's just steamrolled each year since.
That's
or
amazing.
Snowball would be the right
Yes. And I can see that. I can see that every single year, like you will say that this is it, and then it's growing more and more and more into like a lot of teams. So I know that Scott Fish Bowl is not only in the US. Care to share where Scott Fish Bowl is as well? What countries now?
Sure. Well, last couple of years we've been in Mexico City.
Nice.
We've done Canadian ones 2 of the last 3 years. We've done London, I believe, 3 years in a row now. This last year, we added Barcelona, Spain, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Lithuania. We actually had one too in Lithuania, but yeah, we added a few last year. I'm not exactly sure where all our live events are going to be this year. I'm sure a lot of the major cities are going to have them. I know of a couple that are very likely to get one this year that haven't had one in the past. But those are still kind of in the works. I know the dates on two of them at the current moment. I'm pretty sure on the dates of two of them at the current moment. So that's good. We're at that point where we know a lot of the cities and we're starting to work on it.
That's crazy. So these are live events, not just online.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm correct,
live
right?
events. You went to Boston last year. They are live events. They're a heck of a lot of fun. They're a little
around
bit of
the globe. It's insane.
Yep, but we had 33 of them last year, and I don't know if we're going to be under or over that number this year, but we're gonna put on a good show.
That's amazing. So, what are some of the most memorable moments from the Scott Fishbowl years?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I immediately want to go to those live event moments where it's just you get to meet all these people in person, and you're doing good at all of them, and you're connecting on a level because it's not just a shared interest in fantasy. It's a shared interest in being a good person and trying to do good. And like, it's just wonderful to be it's a good thing in life to surround yourself with really, really good people. I've noticed it's nice to be surrounded by people that you enjoy being around, but not only that, but really nice people.
I agree 100%.
I would say what I love about traveling from live event to live event is they all have their own unique vibe to them. Boston is not like Denver, and Denver is not like Las Vegas, and Las Vegas is not like LA, and LA is not like Minnesota. Like they all have their own like character, their own personality, which makes honestly, if I'm the type of person that's doing SFB each year, I would travel, and I do, but other people, I would travel around to different ones to see what they're like. But the story that always comes to mind for me as I take over the whole show here, I apologize, Carla. The story that always breaks down for me is that when I was in Las Vegas for SFB Live last year, the Friday night we all went to this steak dinner. It was awesome. Had a ribeye and an old fashioned. It was awesome. The next day we had all the drafts down at Circa, down by the pools in the owner's suite. And then that night we went to a piano bar, a little darkly lit, nice piano bar. Kenny Davidson is the piano player there, and he's in SFB Live. And we go to this darkly lit Don't Tell Mama's piano bar. And there's like 20, 30, there's probably like 30 of us. And I'm going to try to lay it out. Everybody is over here. I'm like right here, and the piano's up here. So I'm in the middle of the piano and everybody, and I'm just watching, like I'm on the edge watching. And I look back at one point, the music's nice, the vibes are dark, nice, everybody's having drinks. But I look back at these 30 people from Canada, from Ohio, from Las Vegas, from Los Angeles, from like Minnesota, like from all over. And they're like all just laughing and smiling and just having a good time. They're just a giant group of people that would have never met otherwise, that are just enjoying life. And it made me realize that like we have created something pretty special here. Like the team behind Fantasy Cares and SFB and you're helping Boston, like everybody that has helped or supported Fantasy Cares has really created something truly special. And that moment really, really brought it home to me. And I swear I had little welled up eyes and whatnot, but it was so beautiful. I've told that
just
story
a happy
before.
feeling. I agree. It's because you work in charities and you see like people around you. It's such a happy place to be that you like. That's your baby. You made something special for people to be there. And this is such a success story that you should be like, I know you're proud of, and I want you to tell it over and over again, even if I ask it to come over and over to the show. This
Sure.
what makes me like so happy with people such as you, Scott, that you started something really small and you made it bigger. And this is such a success story that's bringing people from all over the world, not just, from the state. It's just a great challenge, and you made it happen. You made it happen, which is awesome. So,
It's pretty special.
talking about the challenges, what are the challenges that you face in the charity and within the fantasy community? And if you want to add more stuff to what you were talking
I mean,
about your short.
they're the same challenges as always, I guess. It's more people want to get in that we don't have the bandwidth to make happen.
Yes.
It would really dilute it. It probably wouldn't be done very well if we put 45, 50,000 people into this thing. Putting 4,000, maybe 5,000 this year, I don't know. People, that is a lot. And it takes a lot of people and a lot of volunteers to make work well, and like make it an actual special thing at all these live events, to make it a special thing, with our designs and with our logos and our like the care we put into it. You can't put that kind of care into a 50,000 team thing. So there's always going to be tens of thousands of people who can't get in, which causes, negativity out there. And that's always trouble for me to see. I don't want that. I hate that, but there's just no other way to do it and still make it this special, amazing thing. So we have all these other little things that people can do, but people still want in the main event part, and that is trouble, and that is one of the difficulties, but we get past it. The other difficulty is there's just so much work. We just need so many volunteers every year to make this happen, and it's just a lot of work. That's probably the other thing. I think a lot of us work. There are a couple months that a lot of us work this as much as we work our full-time jobs. I mean, my full-time job's fantasy, but you know what I mean? The other people who help out.
Yes. I mean, I was so honored last year that you reached out, and I went for one day and I was like all overwhelmed with everything that was happening around me. And I can't even imagine
You're a rock
what you
star
guys
that day.
do. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I
that
can
day went off
imagine.
so well because of you.
Thank you. That's such an honor. Thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it. But yeah, like all the work that you guys put into that day, it's already a lot. So to make everyone happy, to make everyone comfortable, the food, the like to put the tables, the chairs, everything, like everything, you think about every single thing, and people don't know that this is what happens behind closed doors before everyone comes in, take their their shirts, their stuff, and go sit down and like chat with everybody else. So kudos for your team, Scott. Seriously, it's you do an amazing job, and you make everyone happy at that point. So what are your long-term goals for Fantasy Cares and other charitable projects that you might be thinking of in the future?
Honestly, I think it's just constant growth of Fantasy Cares. I just want to see it grow to the point where everybody knows what it is. Grow to the point where maybe you're on DraftKings or FanDuel or Underdog or wherever, and there is, I mean, LeagueSafe already has this, where when you're withdrawing money or putting money in or whatever, you can round up to give money to Fantasy Cares. Like to be able to have that at, other sites, and we can, because the way we're structured, we can give to any other 501c3 charity. We can work with any of those sites to be able to partner with a lot of places where we can get our name out there, because the more our name gets out there, and even if the money doesn't come to us to put out there, it just puts the idea of doing charitable good with our hobby out there, that mindset out there. And I would love for that message to spread, because that's really the true goal of Fantasy Cares, is to spread that message that we can do good with our hobby. So that's number one. And number two would be, I'm not going to go into it because it's not a fully fleshed out idea, but I have a couple ideas of ways I'd like to expand some really fun event type stuff. But I need to think it through more.
That would be nice, like an out charitable day at some bar or something like that. I would go. I need it. Spot.
For sure.
So what advice would you give to someone looking to start their own charity?
Charity like tournament, or just
No, just a charity. Sometimes people look how I want to start like a charity, like Scottfish is doing. Not applicable to football, fantasy football. Just
find a lot of good people around you to do it with, because you will need a board. There's lots of how-to type guides on how to step by step put a charity together and start a charity. There are places you can hire that can really help, like places that will walk you straight.
Your Wi-Fi is cutting off, Scott. I don't know if you know that.
Right through the problem. I'm sorry. Did I freeze for a second there?
Yeah, you stopped for a couple seconds. So
okay. I was just going to say, there's lots of how-to step-by-step guides, and there are places you can hire that can walk you through it. But you do want to assemble, 3 to 5 board members that share your vision, that can help you with. There's going to be more work than you think there is, but in the early stages, as long as you're raising less than $50,000, the tax part is really actually quite easy. We are way above that, but there's lots of information out there. I could probably help you find it if you're really looking into that.
That's awesome to know. So how did Scottfish started in fantasy football? How did it all start?
Playing or in content creation?
Whatever you want to share. It's up to you.
I mean, so playing, I don't know that I've told this story a whole lot. But playing, so as you mentioned at the start of the show, I started playing a fantasy football league in 1992, a dynasty league. My first draft pick was Steve Young. My second draft pick was Emmitt Smith. It was touchdown only. But before that, the reason I started playing fantasy football is because for about 3 or 4 years, I had played fantasy Big Ten basketball with my dad and his teacher friends. And what they would do is they would draft the incoming freshman college Big Ten basketball players, and they would just keep them throughout their career. So when I started playing fantasy football in 92, I assumed that's how you played fantasy football, is that you just drafted players and you just kept them. So Dynasty had been around for a long time, but I didn't know that. I'm a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, whatever I was kid. That's just how I knew that's just what I thought fantasy football was. So that was the start of the fantasy playing. The content creation came in the early 2000s, 03, 04, 05 range, where I had been doing Devy leagues. I called them at the time before they were called Devy leagues, that we called them college farm system leagues. And I had been doing those for a lot of years. And I went online in like AOL chat rooms and message boards to try to find anyone else doing these things, and nobody was. So I decided to be the one to make content on it. I started doing your basic start, sits, and waivers, but I also decided no one else is doing this. I'm going to do this. Matt Harmon has talked about, find a question you want answered out there, or find if you can't find the content you want out there, make it yourself. If there's not something out there, just do it yourself if you're passionate about it. And that's kind of what I did. I was that same path.
That's amazing. So, did you start because of a parent, someone in the family, or it's just because it was happening in your school? How did it
Just the
all begin?
the actual fantasy league. So the fantasy league started with me and my brother, and the neighbor kids had 4 kids, all like within a 6 year span. Like they're all very close in age. So it was us 6 in a 6 team, a 6 team touchdown only fantasy football league. Like we're all all played sports together all the time, constantly. So it was a 6 team league, and we quickly expanded with friends in the coming, 4 to 6 years. But it's the very first year or two, it was just 6 teams playing touchdown only fantasy football. Just 2 sets of brothers.
Wow, that's amazing. And what are some of your favorite fantasy football resources?
Resources? Oh man.
Yes.
I have so many. I use. I of course, I think more of what I use is I check out content creators that I really, really enjoy. If I'm looking up IDB stuff, my go-to is generally Gary Davenport. He started FF Oasis with me back in 07. If it's Dynasty stuff, I'm immediately tapping into like Ryan McDowell type guys, and with Fantasy Cares like John Bosch and Bob Gilchrist and Russ Fisher and Zach Reed just do an incredible job with that. We got J Mike too doing a show with Dynasty with Zach Reed, but your basic redraft stuff, I hang with Charge a lot, and I check out his stuff on Fantasy Life, and I love the tools on Fantasy Life. I love some of the tools on Fantasy Pros. I like some of the tools on lots of sites. I bounce around to a lot of different sites. I built my own weekly tool that I pull in data from different places. It's not public, but I give it to friends. I give it to friends at times, but I'm a coder, so I coded my own giant, awesome weekly data tool. And then I really enjoy Inside Edge when I have access to it. I use PFF at times. I use so many of them. There isn't really one. I just used like 20 different things, and usually it's people I trust.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And you need people you trust sometimes and things like that, which is really crazy. I see a lot of people set so much, like they take a lot of time trying to figure out, how to put their teams, how to do their research and everything. It's insane. So I see it and I'm like, kudos for you guys. It's just crazy. It's a full time by itself, which is, crazy. It is. So, Scott, how do you handle the pressure and expectations that come with being a prominent figure in the fantasy community?
I don't know that I do. And weirdly, I feel like there was probably a time where I cared more about stuff like that, and I worried more. I think either as time went on, and maybe it's just with age, or maybe it's just I've been in the industry long enough. I'm just going to be me, and I'm going to realize that people are, there will be people that don't like me. I feel like I get along with almost everybody. But as long as I just continue to be exactly who I've been for the last, however X amount years of my life, I feel like I'm just gonna do fine. I'm true to my banner on social media, which always says, work hard, be a good person, the rest will follow. I just do that. I just be me. I don't want to waste mental energy on stressing out on what others are constantly thinking about me or anything. You know what I mean? I will say there's probably a pressure of, there's probably something to, I don't know. Yeah. I don't have a great answer for it. I honestly just stay who I am, I guess.
That's what's important. I think being true to yourself is the most important thing. Not just behind closed doors, in public as well. So I see Scott on social media the same way I see him at the expo, which is
Yeah.
I have a huge respect to.
Thank you.
I'm not saying that in front of your face. I have huge respect to people who are true to themselves, which is we don't
Yeah.
see it nowadays. Like you see different personalities on social media, and when you see them face to face, it's like, okay, oh my God, like don't talk to me.
Yep.
I'm better than you kind of person. But a lot of you and you
God.
and like especially you are so down to earth, and I say it to everybody, and I'm so honored to be part of this path.
Thank you. Very kind to say. I was going to mention I've met you multiple times, JC multiple times, Wendy multiple
Yes.
times. I've met James. I've met there like lots of people in the chat. Ronnie, I've met Ronnie. Like I'm pretty sure all of them can confirm that I'm like the same guy everywhere. So
I agree. They do. I agree 100%. I agree with that. And everybody, it's super easy to be a celebrity. I know that you might not agree with me saying that you are a celebrity, but you
not
are.
even really.
You are a celebrity. Everybody can be a celebrity and a snob, but you're not. You're so much down to earth. You love everybody and you respect everybody, and this is what makes you special. So
I'm not a celebrity, but thank you for the other nice things.
you are. You're well known. So let me say you're a celebrity, so I can say I know a celebrity at some point.
Okay, all right.
So, Scott, what are some of your hobbies and interests outside of fantasy football?
You know, that's a lot of it. But honestly, at this point in my life, it's just spending as much time with my kids, whether it's playing, you know, board games or video games or Legos with my youngest, or if it's, you know, playing sports with my oldest. I'm going to help assistant coach his baseball team coming up here. He plays. Well, he used to play 4 sports. Now he plays 3 sports. But baseball season's coming up here, and there's a little bit of a coaching shortage, so I'm going to help out with that in the times I'm in town. I'm very lucky that I have a job where I'm able to spend as much time as I want with my kids and almost never miss any event. But I'd say most of my hobbies revolve around them, and at this point, which is fun. You know, I like playing games with them. I like playing sports with them.
They grow up super fast, just crazy. So we were talking a little bit about your heart experience. Can you share a personal experience related to your heart health, and how many years now you're celebrating your heart attack, after your heart attack?
Yeah.
Coming soon.
I had my heart attack was November of 2014. So just over 10 years now, 10 years and 4 months and change. So yeah, over 10 years now, had the heart attack. I am lucky and maybe just smart enough that when I felt it coming on, I wasn't stupid and tried to sleep it off or, push it to the side. I told my wife, I think I'm having a heart attack, and we went straight to the hospital. And I think that can be key sometimes is not being too big to do that, or too arrogant, egotistic, whatever it is, to go get help when you think you need help. But yeah, we went in. I was young. I was in even better shape. I was way better shape than I am now, and I had 5 cardiologists, because when you're 35, it makes no sense to have a heart attack, especially when you're not in terrible shape. I think the thing that sticks out with me, my wife and I have always been very charitable. We donate to over 50 charities. My parents ran a 501c3 charity. It's always been part of my life. I think it just refocused my efforts to, try to be the best possible me I can be at all times, and the best possible dad I can be, and husband, and just person, use my platform for good, be a good role model. But I think that I sometimes wonder, I feel like that always would have happened, but I sometimes wonder, that night, a 24-year-old man came in with a heart attack too. It was this weird thing. They told me about it because it was super weird that a 35-year-old and a 24-year-old had a heart attack that night. And he had 3 kids, wife and 3 kids, and he died that night. And I lived. And I think that really, really just shoots a tingle down your spine that says life is really short and you only get so much time, especially with the people you care about. And so I think it might have sent things into a little bit of hyperdrive having that other instance happen that exact night. But yeah, it's turned out well in the end. I'm a big supporter of the American Heart Association since, and it's sent me down this path that I've met a lot of great people on, and I really enjoy my life at this point. So weird to say, but I'm actually kind of glad for it,
Yeah, everything happened for a reason. I'm glad you're here with us. And November, what day did you have your heart attack?
November 12th, 2014.
So I did have my accident November as well.
Okay.
So my car accident. So November 6th, November 12th. I will never forget that date. I'm so happy that
for us, I tell you.
It is. It was insane. Yeah, it was insane. So what advice would you give for others, Scott, that they are going through maybe a health issue, a heart health issue, or something with their health? What advice can you give them, especially that you went through that yourself?
Yeah, I think I kind of almost just touched on it, that don't try to be brave or tough or think you're too strong for something to happen to you. Go get checked out, take the advice, try to keep in good health. It's there are some things you can't handle everything on your own in life, and that goes for anything from physical health to even mental health. It's, if you feel you need help, get help. Don't be ashamed of something like that, so I think my biggest piece of advice is just don't be afraid to actually reach out to either doctors or people in your life.
I agree 100%. That's, a lot of people think that, it's not going to happen to me, but it's really important to get checked. I agree with you 100%. So I want to ask, what's your NFL team? What's the best NFL team that you have?
Those are two very different questions. What's my NFL team and what's the best NFL team?
For you, what's the best NFL team for you?
Yeah. Ronnie, take care of your mental health too. I touched on that. Completely agree. Absolutely. I know. And Ronnie is such a huge proponent of that in our industry, which is absolutely wonderful. Ronnie's awesome. Ronnie is the best. Ronnie's the best.
Oh my God, yes.
So my team's the Vikings, and my teams are Minnesota teams. So when I was younger, we had a World Series in '87 and '91. So when I'm 12 years old, after that '91 World Series, I'm thinking to myself, your favorite teams win every once in a while. Not very often, but every once in a while. And it's been 34 years, and none of them have won since. So
oh my God,
still sitting waiting, hoping one of these years something will happen. But Minnesota sports teams, I'm a fan of almost all of them.
Nice. And who's your favorite?
The Lynx and the Frost. Our professional women's hockey team, the Frost, won last year, and the Lynx made the WNBA finals last year, and they won 4 titles in 7 years. So we did have that. I should bring that up.
Crazy. And who's your favorite NFL player?
Wow. I never have a favorite player. I really almost never have a favorite player. I have a lot of players I really like. I love Justin. Justin Jefferson. I love Nico Collins.
Yes.
Love watching him play. I'd say a lot of times they're wide receivers, but I'm just not a favorite player guy. I usually don't have them. I've had them in the past. LaDainian Tomlinson was my favorite for a while. Barry Sanders was my favorite for a long time before that. So I've definitely had him over my life. Right now, I don't have like that true, oh my God, I love this guy though. I don't really have one right now.
What do you think the best fantasy football moment that happened through your life is?
Best fantasy football moment. Wow.
Mm.
It's not exactly one moment. It's actually, it might be last year's of this, but my home league draft every year is one of my favorite things that happens every year.
Yeah.
And this last year might have been the one of my favorite because Joe Bryant, a football guy, came up and hung out with us at my live draft with Paul Charchian, who's in the league, and all my friends that have been playing in this league for, one guy's been in all 33 years or whatever it's been since 92. And most of them have been 20 plus years, have been in the league. And we get this giant mobile bar and we hang out. We spend all day. We make like breakfast, we make lunch. It's a full day thing. And we do it every year. And that might be one of my favorite moments. It's probably not like, it's not one single moment, but it's one moment each year that I really enjoy and look forward to and love it. Love every minute of.
Wow, that's awesome. With everything that's happening right now in social media, Scott, what are your thoughts on the impact of social media on the fantasy football community and information dissemination of it?
Yeah, I think it is getting a little rough out there with social media. I feel like it's not as much of a community as it used to be. Especially on Twitter X, on Blue Sky, it feels a little more connected. But mostly I feel like, especially on X, when you try to like engage or tweet something, it doesn't get the interaction it used to. There's not as much, there's not the discussion that I used to see, and it feels like a little bit of the fun is gone a little. I think maybe some people are just a little bit tired of social media. I agree. That it might be that. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it turns around, but it's not what it was 5 years ago. It's definitely not what it was 10 years ago. But I guess we'll see. I guess, if people are splitting more platforms, maybe the long-term effect will be, smaller, more tight-knit groups on different platforms. I'm really not sure. But what Ronnie's saying is absolutely true, that the algorithm has changed to a point. It just, like, I find it so much harder to connect with my fantasy football peeps than I did back in the day, where my entire timeline was us talking about stuff. So it's a little tougher than it used to be, but hopefully this one giant thing that I run, hopefully it can transcend that and transcend all the social medias, and we can get people to live events face to face and interacting and having a good time.
I do believe lately it has been like a competition. It's who's better, who have more followers and stuff like that. It's a popularity competition, in my opinion, because I see, like, for me, I really don't care how many people like follow me, because I'm not that big. I'm just doing a small job in the community. But I have like 500 followers, and then the next day it's 450. Oh, you didn't follow me, I'm gonna unfollow. So it's a popularity contest more than anything else, in my opinion, which is really weird lately. The content just be there.
Yeah, I'm not into that whole type of thing. I follow the people who I find interesting, and if they want to follow me and find me interesting or what I do interesting, awesome.
I agree.
I don't understand that popularity thing.
Yeah, it has been more of a popular situation for social media lately. So, what are the long-term effects on fantasy football on fan engagement and the overall sports industry?
I mean, fantasy football and like just the fan engagement of it on like all the actual fantasy platforms that you can play on is great. It's growing constantly.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us get trapped in the social media bubble of the fantasy football communities that we love, but really outside of that, even if that has started to feel a little disjointed, fantasy football is growing by borderline tens of millions a year now. I mean, just like 5 years ago, it was like 50 some million. Now it's in the 80s, the 80 some million that play fantasy football, play fantasy sports, excuse me.
yes.
It's just growing consistently. And I do like that it is kind of something that you probably, if you're meeting someone in real life, it is probably something that you can connect with people pretty easily on, because most people play to some degree. Whether it's they barely pay attention, they probably have a story to it, or an office league, they probably have a story to it. My favorite that is one of my favorite office or fantasy football stories. I might tell that in a second. I have an office league story. But no, fantasy football and the fan engagement around fantasy football, and even like the actual sports engagement around fantasy football, it's growing and getting bigger and bigger and better. So that's why I have a little bit of faith that some of the social aspect will turn around somehow, some way.
I hope so. Yeah. And, talking about social life and stuff like that, how do you see that, like with women in fantasy football?
Yeah.
Do you agree with all the social attack on women in fantasy football and in sports by itself, or you don't agree with that? How do you foresee this?
Do I agree with an attack on women in fantasy sports?
I know that you don't, but I'm just
No.
asking. Question
No.
that. Because we've been seeing it a lot lately that,
I believe you have.
do
I
not talk,
absolutely believe-
just
and-
go and do something different.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like I know it's out there. It's always been out there. It's always been bad. I feel like we've had some moments where it felt like the community kind of wrapped its arms around and tried to push against that, and maybe that's still happening. But I don't doubt that. Like in general, it's just never been a good spot. And yeah, we got to do whatever we can to fight against that. Honestly,
Yes.
I don't know if
I've
it's
seen-
promoting or supporting the female creators we see in the space, or if it's people in a position to hire, taking closer looks or considering them more, because it's such a big deal to have people like you, Carla, hosting a show, because then women can see you hosting a show and be like, oh, I can do that, because representation matters, So I'm always going to be in great support of it. We got to do what we have. We got to do what we can do for it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you support it. I'm just questioning because I've seen a lot on.
Every year, I consistently try to get as many women into SFB as I can. I try to get as many women to the live events as I can, because it matters.
And I see that. And I see that a lot. And they're so happy with it because you always ask about it. And you're a great supporter of women, which is really awesome. But I've seen that happening a lot lately. And a lot of women of the fantasy, sports, they've been posting a lot about how they've been attacked. And every time they write something, it's like, you're not intellectual enough or whatever enough, and you shouldn't be writing or doing anything, which is really not okay.
Maybe it's the women I surround myself with, but it just that strikes me as so dumb, because like all the women around me are smarter than me.
Right?
Like it feels like women are actually the smart ones, but maybe maybe I consistently surround myself with very strong, very smart women, which is also
I always tell Doug, I'm always right. Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. So I'm always right. So Just saying.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
how do you see the role of AI, artificial intelligence, evolving in the fantasy sports landscape, especially that we have Ronnie there?
Yeah. Ronnie and I still need to have a deeper talk about that, because I would love to know his thoughts on that to a much deeper level. I don't know that AI can fully do the content, at least not yet, but I'm sure it will get there. But tools and stuff, I think AI can absolutely destroy. Um, AI is going to be so big in websites and tools and stuff going forward. It's going to be incredible. I know Ronnie has worked with a couple companies, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know that he had advised in the past with like robot AI and stuff, and to be able to, and this is on a content front, I suppose, but to be able to ask an AI fantasy questions and fantasy start sits and just, hey, what are the fantasy stats on this? Like, how many touchdowns does this guy have last year? Or like, how does this guy do in cold weather? AI will or should be able to do that now or very soon, and it's going to be an incredible tool out there.
It is.
So I think it's one of those things that a lot of this industry is probably going to start to embrace it a little too late. Like, they should have already started embracing it. But yeah, it's going to be the future of a lot of things.
I agree. How do you think fantasy
No, we
sports can be?
do. First, Sniper. Yeah, we do. Liz Loza is on our board.
Yes.
We could use more women on our board. Yeah, Liz Loza is on our board.
Well,
She was
I'm
one of
here.
the original board members. We added one board member, so since.
I'm trying to get her on the show, so maybe one day I would be honored to have her on the show. I did tag her with a post, but I know that she is busy. So maybe I'll talk to you on the side, so you can bring her on my show, Scott.
Nice.
How do you think fantasy sports can be used as a tool for education and skill development?
Oh gosh, I mean, I feel like there are so many teachers that already used fantasy sports
Yes.
for teaching math type stuff, which
agree.
is probably its number. It's probably the number one thing you can teach with it. I'm not sure how many other things you can teach with it. Like, at least in an educational setting, it can teach a form of connecting or stuff like that. But in a school, it feels like it's very math and strategy based. And a lot of teachers can use that for math. That's for sure. I'm not sure what other practical educational things, but people smarter than me could probably think of something.
You're smart. You're smart. So before I continue, I know that Rick Brusuelas, he have a new podcast every Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and I do
Okay.
believe he's reaching out for people like you to have them on
Okay.
on his show. Talk
Well,
about charity.
I think I saw. Yes, I know what you're talking about. He's got a show that highlights charity stuff, right?
Yes.
Or something.
So
Yes.
maybe you can pop into his show as
Me-
well and his guest at some point. That would be really awesome. He
I'm gonna write
is
this
new
down.
in the SA team. Yes. He's here as well, Rick Brusuelas.
I saw that. Yeah. All right.
Yes. That would be
All right,
really
okay.
nice. To continue, I want to ask you about the FSGA
Yes.
award. What can you tell me about it?
Yeah. It's so FSGA is Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association. Their awards show, like, if you don't like, they are our industry, I don't know. It's our industry association, right? But their
Yes.
awards show are there? Excuse me, I gotta mute my other computer. I just realized it wasn't muted.
It's
So
going.
their awards show is like the Oscars or whatever, for the acting industry, right? So the best business in sports, that
Oh,
is
wow.
like their best picture.
Cool.
It is the biggest of biggest awards you can win in this industry.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, when we won, I was absolutely shocked because we were up against ESPN, fantasy. It was us, ESPN, Football Guys, RotoWire, the Fantasy Footballers, Underdog, and Yahoo. Like
Wow, Scott,
the
that's
biggest names, the
amazing.
biggest names. And we took it down, which is I was really shocked when it happened. I could not believe it. But it was great. Yeah, it's the best way to explain it is that award is like the best picture at the Oscars. It is the highest thing you can get in the fantasy space.
Such an honor. That's amazing. And you're telling me you're not a celebrity.
No, and I will say it till the day is long that this is a community award, and any award I've not had to, but I've gone on up and accepted or given speeches for or whatever. Every single one of those is the community won that award. I didn't win that award. The community won that award. All of us doing awesome things together, supporting this drive, this goal, this special thing we've created. It's the community. It's not me. It's not any one person. It's all of us that has won these things, which makes it a little bit more special, honestly. I think
that's what makes you special. That's what makes you special, Scott. To talk that this is a community, like award. That's what makes you special. That's amazing. So let's go for a bit for like fun and lighthearted questions.
Okay.
So if you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
And it can't be my wife.
No.
Like it's all. I'm always gonna answer probably just hang out with
Definitely.
my wife.
We love the wife, but
yeah.
Of course she is.
Yeah. To be truthful, I don't know that I have a good answer for this. Just like I don't have favorite players. I never had like celebrities that I was like, oh, I love this celebrity. Like I've never been that guy that singles out one person or thing like that. You're like that too, that you just never have.
Yes, I don't.
That, yeah. No, I don't get it. I'll talk to people that are like, oh, I love, this actor. They love him and everything. And I'm like, I've never
Who's
had that. Yeah. No, it's generally not that. I usually know who that is because I read a video.
But it's not like reaction. Reaction. It's just It's not me.
I'm sorry. That's probably not the best. I do have that fun story I was going to tell earlier. I can tell that in a second though.
Yes, let's tell this funny story then.
Oh,
let's go with
Did you have more fun questions, or you just want to hear the story?
I do, but let's hear the story.
Okay, so this goes along with your favorite fantasy moment story. This is probably about 10 years ago. I'm at it was 2017, August of 2017, right around there, I think, 2017 or 2018. But it was about then. I go into a local sports bar with a friend of mine, and this office league is doing their fantasy draft. And now I'm doing fantasy stuff. I'm full time in the industry. I'm on the radio here. I'm like, etc. And they are missing two of their people. Two of their people didn't show up, and they were just gonna like pick for them or whatever. And me and my buddy were like, we will draft for them. Like jumped in there, just like we'll draft for them. So I go in, and I was drafting for a woman in the office named Stacy. And so I draft for her, and I'm like, this is the best team ever. I wish I could have this team. So got the contact info with one of the people in the office. She lost one game all year and won the championship and wanted to send me a case of beer because I had drafted her team that she basically just put on autopilot. It was like the way back in the LaShawn McCoy, Jamal Charles was like the corner I got for her, like when they were really, really awesome. But yeah, it was an incredible thing. I tweeted about it, and every once in a while I'll tweet it. I'll like quote tweet it. Oh, this was a fun memory. Just having fun with a group of people at a random bar, and then it turns out Stacy's team destroyed the league. She didn't show up for her draft, and she got a fantasy analyst randomly in the bar to draft her team and destroy the league. And it makes me smile when I think about that.
That's really amazing. All I get in the bar if I'm watching football, do you like any football team or anything like that? I'm like, I have like a podcast for fantasy football. Seriously?
Yeah. I'm kind of doing the thing.
They think that, like it's different.
Yeah.
This is the most beautiful story I've ever heard. That's amazing.
It's fun. You have a really great chat, by the way. A lot of great people in your chat.
Oh yes, they are. So if you have any superpower in the world, any superpower,
this one's
what
so
would it
easy.
be and why?
It's teleportation, and I don't even think it's close.
Yeah,
I am so tired and old. I love traveling. I love airplanes. I love all this stuff. But if I can like hold on to something and teleport there, like if I can take my wife and we just teleport to France or Scotland or whatever, or if I can teleport to the grocery store and buy a couple things and teleport back, that's my life, man. I would love teleportation. That would be great.
That's amazing to hear. I know that you have another podcast, so I don't want to hold you a lot, but I do have one more question for you. So
yes,
this question I ask for everyone. If you have a story that you never told before or a secret that you never shared before, can you share it on the show tonight?
So the last time I was on, I shared one of those stories, and I have regretted it since. That is a story I don't share very often, and I don't know how you and Wendy got me to share that story.
Sorry,
but if y'all really need a story, you can go back to that episode and listen to that story again, because that was the one that probably shocked Carla and Wendy.
Everyone tells me I'm so good.
That story covers me for 2 shows.
I'm so good at like taking something from someone. Okay, so something that maybe not a secret that you want to share from from early ages, Scott.
Early ages, Scott. Okay, so this isn't even like any kind of secret, but this is a fun story. So when I was a little kid, my brother and I, he got sent to his room. He got sent to his room. We're at my grandparents' house, and he is like 4, and I'm like 6, right? I'm 6 or 7. He's like 4. And I bring this up because my mom recently, within the last year, found this slip of paper. So he got grounded, and we're at my grandparents' house. I'm watching TV, but I sneak off, and I slide a note under the door of the bedroom where my brother is, and it says, "I think I have a way to break you out." And I'm a 6-year-old trying to break my 4-year-old brother out. But the reason my mom kept it is because my brother was 4 and could not read the note. So I'm sliding a note to a kid who can't even read the note. So, but I mean, there's not a whole lot to that story, but it's kind of fun reminiscing, and it's funny that my mom kept that note. She keeps a lot.
Yes. You should put it like in a place that no one can ever touch. Just put it there.
I just like the thought of 6-year-old me. I think I figured out a way to break you out.
Oh my God. I love that, Scott. Thank you so much for sharing this. I really needed it,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So before we conclude, Scott, can you share
Yes.
how our audience can connect with you on social media?
Yeah, I'm Scottfish24 on everything. I do have the Scottfish24 on Blue Sky, but I use Scottfish on Blue Sky, just straight up Scottfish on. But I'm Scottfish24 on everything else. Follow the Fantasy Cares stuff on whatever. Fantasy Cares org on what. Follow our YouTube show. We have great YouTube shows. We have a Monday night trivia. We have a Tuesday night rookie hootenanny that we talk about rookies, and the Wednesday night hangout that is. It probably started a few minutes ago. They'll be on for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, just hanging out, talking usually about food. We usually talk about food, but we have no agenda. We just talk about whatever is fun or funny.
Awesome.
But yeah, fantasycares.org, scottfishbowl.com. Make sure you're signed up. I'm sure you are if you're watching this, because Carla's probably told you to sign up before, or JC, or any of the any of the people, the Sports Affiliation. They're awesome people there. So thank you for having me on, Carla. This was a lot of fun. Really a lot of fun.
Thank you for coming tonight. I just want to share a big thank you because Ronnie and JC, they've been talking to me while my school was on lockdown today. So it was really emotional. And I really canceled everything but your show tonight, Scott. So this made me really happy that I get to share with everyone tonight. I told JC I don't want to share anything before because I'm gonna be in tears.
Yeah.
So the school was in serious lockdown. I cannot share too much stuff about it right now because everything is still under investigation. But it's hard when it hit home.
Yep.
But thank you so much for making this episode so fun. I love your story about being 6 years old right into your 4-year-old brother. This I will never forget. You just made my night. I cannot thank you all really for joining this episode of the Game Changers. I hope my discussions with Scott provided valuable insight into his experiences in fantasy football and life itself. Join me for the next episode on Wednesday, March 5th, featuring Laquan Jones as my special guest. I would like to acknowledge JC for his contribution behind the scene, the whole TSA team. Please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is important for our improvement. Follow us on social media for updates on upcoming episodes and be part of the Sports Affiliation community where everyone is welcome. Reminder, at the Expo, the TSA is affiliated. If you sign up under TSA, you put TSA 2005. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right because it's not in front of me, but you can see it on my page. If you sign up, you get $10 off from signing up, and you can help the TSA crew. Until next time, keep challenging the game and making your mark. This is Carla and Scott saying good night and have a pleasant evening, everybody. Thank you.